To protect my audience, the Chicanos should not be labeled or treated as immigrants because they are legal residents and U.S. citizens whose American identity and rights deserve respect and recognition. Imagine walking into your workplace, school, or store, and before you even speak, someone asks, "Where are you really from?" That simple question may seem harmless to some, but to others, many Chicanos, it seems a painful message. You don't belong here. I remember my brother named Jose, born in Mexico, raised speaking English, who got stopped by police on his way to work. The officer asked for his papers before even explaining why he was pulled over. Jose laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. That moment stayed with him and with me because it showed how deeply some people assume that being brown must mean you're undocumented. For generations, people of Mexican descent have called this land home, long before borders shifted or immigration debates filled the news. Yet today, many Chicanos, even those born here or living here legally, are unfairly assumed to be undocumented immigrants. As someone who has been seen friends and family experience this, I know how hurtful these assumptions can be. Today, I want to show that those stereotypes are not only wrong, they are harmful. Chicanos should not be labeled or treated as immigrants because they are legal residents and U.S. citizens whose American identity and rights deserve respect and recognition. Let's start by looking at where this misunderstanding comes from and why it matters. Many people in the U.S. wrongly assume that all Chicanos are undocumented immigrants. According to the Pew Research Center, most people of Mexican descent in the United States, over 60%, were actually born here as U.S. citizens. Yet, public stereotypes often treat all Latinos as foreigners or new arrivals. This constant assumption affects how Chicanos are viewed in workplaces, schools, and neighborhoods. Instead of being seen as equals, they've seen an outsider's question about their citizenship, their language, and even their right to belong. And this isn't just about one person's story in California. Where Chicanos make up a large share of population, thousands of U.S.-born workers have reported being asked to prove their citizenship in workplaces, something their white workers never face. Their Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has received hundreds of such complaints every year, proving that discrimination isn't imagined, it's documented. These false beliefs have real consequences. A nationwide survey by NPR and Harvard found that 32% of Latino adults say they experience discrimination and applying for jobs, and 27% say they've been treated unfairly by police simply because of their ethnicity. What's worse, US-born Latinos were more likely than immigrants to report discrimination. That shows that this issue isn't about immigration status. It's about racial and cultural ideas. It's about people being treated differently for how they look, not how they legally are. So the need is clear. We must stop treating Chicanos as they are undocumented and start recognizing their rightful place as part of America. But how do we fix something that's so deeply rooted in stereotypes? We can start by educating people and challenging the myths. When schools teach accurate Chicano history, when the media represents Chicanos as America, not as outsiders, public perception begins to change. The American Bar Association notes that cultural awareness and FAR representation training can significantly reduce bias in workplaces and law enforcement. Education doesn't just correct facts, it reshapes hearts and minds. It tells a new story, one that honors the truth of our identity. Some people argue that it's easy to confuse Chicanos as undocumented immigrants because immigration from Mexico has been such a visible part of American history. They claim that most people don't mean to discriminate, it's just a misunderstanding or habit, but they're the truth. A habit that curses harm still needs to change. When people assume every person of American descent is undocumented, it erases the identity of millions of US-born citizens. It's not just inaccurate, it is disrespectful, and research provides this. The NPR, a Harvard study, found that even Latinos born in the US face higher rates of discrimination than immigrants themselves. That means it isn't about confusion, it's about prejudice. Recognizing Chicanos is full America's, this doesn't ignore immigration. It honors reliability, and fairness. Chicanos must also empower themselves to speak up and get involved by voting, participating in community discussions, and share their stories. Chicanos can show America who they really are as citizens, professionals, and contributors to society. When more people see Chicanos taking leadership roles, it brings down the forever foreigner image and replace it with the truth. Chicanos are America. Education changes perception, representation changes power. Now let's imagine what our country could look like if we truly lived up to those ideals. Picture a future where Chicano student raises her hand in class and the teacher sees not as token diverse face, but a young American thinker. Picture a police officer who treats a Chicano man with the same respect gives along anyone else. Picture a nation where being bilingual, brown, or proud of your heritage is celebrated, not questioned. That's the America way we say believe in country of equality, not assumption. Now imagine a child in Arizona sitting at the dinner table, listening to her parents whisper about immigration raids, even every person in the house of U.S. citizen, in the house is a U.S. citizen. The kind of fear shapes how a generation grows up and makes kids feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods, even when they have done when they have done nothing wrong. If we don't change till fear continues, families will keep worrying about loved ones being profiled or detained. Kids will keep hearing the message that they don't fully belong. The difference between these two futures, one of belonging or one of division, depends on the action we choose today. A future of fairness is possible, but only if we refuse to stay silent. So what can we actually do to make this future real? We've seen the problem, harmful stereotypes that wrongly label Chicanos as undocumented immigrants. We've seen the need to replace those false assumptions with truth. And we've seen the solution through education, representation, and civic participation. Now, no one should walk in a classroom or workplace or a government office and be treated like a stranger in their own home. So when we say we are home, we are not just making a statement. We're claiming our history, our dignity, and our truth. The Chicano story is the American story from farm workers to teachers, from soldiers to scientists. Our people have built this country's foundation. It's time America remembers that when we stop labeling and start listening, we make room for more truthful, inclusive America. Thank you.